Assalamu alaikum students. How are you? I'm fine. What we were doing last time, talking about current affairs. Current affairs, just a reminder. We talk about the current issues in the form of discussions, talk shows, and sometimes seminars. You may remember more, right? And it is the current affairs no broadcasting house can ignore. That give you a very clear idea what issues are being talked about in the news these days. Generally, what appears in news reels, they are elaborated in various forms of current affairs. That gives listeners a very clear idea what issue is going on these days and what different people think, what we cannot cover in the news. In the news, you have a limited space, you have a limited time. Formally, you can't go beyond a certain time limit. But sometimes listeners want something elaborated little more than what they hear in the news. For instance, if it is an issue of some tension going on between Palestine and Israel, and there is a news frequently you are hearing these days, for instance, what is the function of current affairs? They will hold a discussion, or they will call an expert who would talk at some reasonable length on what this issue is, how long the controversy is, and what is the standings of one party and the other party, and what progress has been made so far. And after that, if you hear the news, you will have a very clear idea what the news is. That is setting the context. You all understand what context is as a student of mass comm. A reference point. That sets the reference points where you can understand a bit better what the news say when it comes to the issue of Middle East or Palestine or Israel. So it's true about all of the things which are discussed in the current affairs. They make an attempt to elaborate what you hear in the standard news reels. That is the purpose of current affairs. Always remember. And moving on from current affairs to the topic for the day, outdoor broadcasting. And I understand some literature is lying in your hands, and you must have gone through the web pages as well. And you must have made up some mind to understand what outdoor broadcast is. You see, when the radio came into being, generally speaking, it was the studio inside a radio station which would broadcast different programs of generally entertainment, music, jokes, lines, poetry, news, announcements, and indeed some advertisements. But all was going on in the air-conditioned, cozy, comfortable studios. Everybody is very trim, smart, like this. And they're doing this broadcast there. Very fascinating, otherwise. Well, students, it's not only the comfort at the studios which make the producers to stick to an inside or the indoor work. There have been other factors as well. For instance, at that time, when there was hardly the concept of outdoor broadcast, people, the listeners, they were not very much inclined for outdoor broadcast, pieces of outdoor broadcast. They were more interested in dramas. You see, it was the time of drama, and radio was especially excelling in making dramas. So the people who would be writing letters to radio stations has been a great hobby in 40s, 50s, 60s. So people would write to a radio station about dramas, musical programs, and talk shows, whatever happens inside the studios. So all this, I would not say the pressure, but all this enormous will of the people that was inclined to listen, all those products which were made inside the studio was one great factor which was keeping the staff and particularly the production people, the producers, only to concentrate and focus on themes, on programs which were related to indoor. A huge activity. Had there been a chance to listen from someone who had been there in those days, you would find, students, a huge activity, indoor activity would be going in all the broadcasting houses. All the studios were heavily occupied and timed and scheduled. You will be having talk shows one after the other. You are having one drama recorded here, and then after 2 hours there is another drama to be recorded, drama for children, drama for women, drama for general public. The studios, whatever the studios were available those days, they were heavily occupied, and all the performers and the technical staff would be all roaming around in those corridors, all concentrating on one thing: how to accomplish this task of doing something indoor. All over the world, it's not some particular area specific. All over the world, the radio stations were more inclined towards indoor activities. Actually, there was a very little concept, and I think other facilities were not available. Not only the concept, some of the facilities were also not available, like the recording systems, the microphones, the leads, all those things, and the batteries which must support these equipment. If you go to outside, you need to have a power supply available as it is available inside the studios, and that was not possible. So by and large, in the first phase of radio broadcast, things were confined to indoor. But I tell you, even with the indoor alone, great programs of great interest were produced, and people enjoyed their life with radio like anything. But then came the time when the necessity was felt that so much activity goes outside the radio station, so much, that a broadcasting house cannot miss to communicate about all those activities to their audience, to their listeners. So it was this necessity which helped the broadcasting people to go outside a broadcasting station and cover events for their listeners. Not an easy task at all. Not as good for the broadcasting people as it sounds to the listeners. You listen as a listener, you enjoy yourself. But what happens in the outdoor broadcast? We will have some idea in this discussion following today's lecture. Outdoor broadcast. As is obvious, you need to go out. Or there is a special arrangement in every broadcasting house to have outdoor broadcast. Outdoor broadcast teams, OB teams, we simply call them OB teams. OB van. I mean, the transport you use for the outdoor broadcast is known as OB van. You might have seen in the streets some OB van going at some spot to cover the events. is very markedly written, the name of the radio station and OB-WAN, all those things. It is outdoor broadcast when the crew is sitting in, crew mean all these technical people, the producer and the commentator, the anchor person, they're all sitting in the OB-WAN. And the van is quite equipped. It's not like a passenger van, obviously. It is equipped with the panel, recording system, microphones, leads, batteries, all those things. The ENG people, the engineering people in a broadcasting house, they need all that is there at the OB-WAN. Now the OB-WAN goes and cover the events outside. As we're talking about the problems the people feel like, you see, the spot where you are going, at times you're not aware where you are going. There may be dusty, narrow lanes. The spot where you are going is not that pleasant a place. It's a huge ground, so many people around, so many onlookers. Weather is not all the time very friendly. It is humid, hot outside, sultry, sweating. It is very cool outside. Sun is blazing. You can't do much to avert a situation. You have to live with these conditions. Over a period, you learn to live with these conditions. But it's a tough experience to have an outdoor broadcast for your listeners, for your station. It is always a challenging job. We now will talk of this outdoor broadcasting in different categories so that we have a very clear idea what is amazing and what is hazardous about this outdoor broadcast. Different areas have their very specific problems. In the first category, and one very essential category, is covering the activities of VIPs, very important persons. They are very important because they have so much to say to the society, to the people, guiding principles. So you cannot miss what they say, and you have to communicate this to your listeners. Ministers, prime ministers, presidents, visiting prime ministers, foreign ministers, and sometimes the ambassadors, they have to say something. People call them, and sometimes they go to the people to explain. For instance, if it is a minister, they will go to some public spot, they will go to some public organization to explain what government policy is on this certain issue. लोगों की ये ख्वाहिश होती है कि ये जो गवर्नमेंट ने पॉलिसी अनाउंस की है, ये उन्हें कुछ थोड़ी सी इसको समझने में कुछ दिक्कत है, किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में ये बात कही गई है. तो नॉर्मली जो मिनिस्टर्स हैं, दे गो टू द पीपल, different organizations, and then they explain what the cabinet has decided, what the actual policy of the government is. This is the minister's job, and they do it. For a radio station, आपके लिए ये बहुत ही क्रूशल टाइम होता है, बहुत ही सेंसिटिव मामला होता है, बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट मामला होता है कि आप उसको जाके रिकॉर्ड करें और उसको अपने जो आपके लिसनर्स हैं वहां तक पहुंचाएं. प्रायोरिटी भी इसी चीज की. आउटडोर ब्रॉडकास्टिंग में अगर आप किसी रेडियो स्टेशन से कांटेक्ट करें तो आपको पता चलेगा कि उनकी प्रायोरिटी भी ये है कि आउटडोर ब्रॉडकास्टिंग में वो प्रेसिडेंट्स के फंक्शंस को, प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स के, मिनिस्टर्स के, डिग्नेटरीज के मिस करने का कोई सवाल ही नहीं. वंस a duty has been assigned, you are supposed to be doing it. होता कैसे? मैस कॉम के स्टूडेंट्स के लिए ये जानना इंतहाई जरूरी है कि आउटडोर ब्रॉडकास्टिंग इज नॉट लाइक दिस, यू से इट एंड यू डू इट. دا گراؤنڈ ریالٹی کس قسم کی ہے. لیٹس شیئر. سب سے پہلے آپ کو ایک سیکیورٹی نیٹ ورک سے گزرنا ہوتا ہے. آپ کو پتہ ہے جب پرائم منسٹر یا پریزیڈنٹس آتے ہیں جس جگہ پہ بھی, وہاں پہ آپ کو ایک سیکیورٹی کا نیٹ ورک ہوتا ہے. obviously پوری دنیا میں ہے, از سم تھنگ یونیورسلی نون کہ جب بھی کوئی کسی کنٹری کے پریزیڈنٹ کسی جگہ پہ آئیں گے دیر از اے سیکیورٹی نیٹ ورک. اور سیکیورٹی نیٹ ورک میں آپ کو جو ہے اس میں سے گزرنا پڑے گا. آل دا پیپل آر ایشوڈ پاسز. وہ پاسز جو ہیں وہ آپ کو لے کے جانا ہوگا. اور پاسز کا ایشو ہونا, ہر آدمی کو پاسز کا ملنا, اور فرض کریں کہ 5 لوگوں نے جانا ہے اس کوریج کے لیے, پروڈیوسر ہیں, انجینئرز ہیں, کوئی ہیلپر ہیں ان کے ساتھ, انہوں نے وہاں پہ جانا ہے, تو 5 لوگوں کے پہلے سیکیورٹی پاسز ایشو ہوں گے. آپ جب اس ایرینا میں انٹر ہوں گے تو آپ کو سیکیورٹی پاسز دکھانے ہوں گے. اب پہلی خواہش کیا ہوگی پروڈیوسر کی کہ سب سے پہلے آپ وہاں پہ جا کے کوئی پاور پوائنٹ ڈھونڈیں جہاں سے آپ اپنی کیبل لگا سکیں. اس کیبل کے لگنے کے بعد ہی سارا آپریشن ہوگا. نارملی if it is a ground, if it is a stadium, if it is a public place like this, وہاں پہ تو آپ you have to rely on batteries. لیکن خواہش یہی ہوتی ہے کہ کوئی پاور کا اگر کوئی پوائنٹ مل جائے تو اٹ ول بی مور کنوینئنٹ. سیکنڈلی, جتنے چینلز آج کل آ گئے ہیں, آپ دیکھیے کہ جو جہاں پہ انہوں نے ایڈریس کرنا ہے ڈائس پہ, وہاں پہ اتنے مائکرو فون پڑے ہوتے ہیں. آپ کو اپنے مائکرو فون کی جگہ ڈھونڈنی ہے بڑی اپروپریٹ, جس میں سے نہ تو آواز کا اینگل خراب ہو اور بالکل اپروپریٹ 100% آواز جو آپ کے پاس ہونی چاہیے. اب اگین جو سیکیورٹی کے لوگ ہیں وہ آپ کو بہت زیادہ they don't allow you to move all over the place the way you feel like. وہ آپ کو تھوڑا سا ٹائم دیتے ہیں کہ آپ اپنا مائکرو فون وہاں پہ سیٹ کر لیں, دیٹس آل, اور آپ سو کر لیں. ان سارے ہیزرڈ سے آپ گزرتے ہیں. آپ کی جو لیڈ ہے وہ چھوٹی پڑ جاتی ہے, وہ آپ اپنی لیڈ کو پورا کرتے ہیں. اس ساری ٹیکنیکل چیزوں سے آپ گزر جاتے ہیں. گزرنے کے بعد اب وہ تھوڑا سا سانس لیتے ہیں. عام طور پہ جو ریڈیو اسٹیشنز کی ٹیمز ہوتی ہیں یہ تھوڑا پہلے چلی جاتے ہیں, انہیں پہلے انفارم کر دیا جاتا ہے بیکاز دے ہیو ٹو ورک ود آل دیز تھنگز, مائکرو فون, لیڈز, بیٹریز, all those things, as compared to the newspaper people. Newspaper people, they come right at the time because they have just to sit over there, listen and report. لیکن براڈ کاسٹنگ ہاؤس کے لیے, ایون جو ٹی وی کے لوگ ہیں ان کے لیے بھی کم از کم 1-1.5 گھنٹہ پہنچ کے پہلے آپ نے سارا اپنا پلان کر لینا ہے کہ کہاں سے ریکارڈنگ کرنی ہے, کہاں پہ کون کھڑا ہوگا, کیسے سنا. یہ کہنا آسان اور کرنا خاصا مشکل ہے. آپ نے یہ سارا کام کر لیا, مائک لگ گئے, ہر چیز بیٹھ گیا, اب آپ بیٹھ گئے ہیں. اب ایک بڑا مشکل مرحلہ شروع ہوتا ہے اور وہ ہے انتظار کا. ویٹنگ, اسٹل ویٹنگ. وی آئی پی جب کسی شہر میں جاتے ہیں تو وہاں پر لوگ جو ہیں وہ کافی سارے فنکشن ارینج کر لیتے ہیں. فار انسٹنس اگر یہ پتا ہو کہ آج جو انفارمیشن منسٹر ہیں وہ حیدرآباد میں آئے ہوئے ہیں, یا آج ریلوے کے جو منسٹر ہیں یہ جہلم میں آئے ہوئے ہیں, تو لوگ جو ہیں ان کی پریزنس کی وجہ سے مختلف فنکشنز جو ہیں وہ ارینج کر لیتے ہیں, اور منسٹرز کو پھر خاصے فنکشنز جو ہیں وہ کرنے پڑتے ہیں. اس لیے تھوڑا ڈیلے ہو جانا کسی فنکشن پہ ان کا جانا از ویری آبویس اینڈ ویری انڈرسٹینڈیبل. اب آپ ویٹ کر رہے ہیں کہ آپ کا یہ فنکشن شروع ہو. فنکشن شروع بھی ہو سکتا ہے, مگر ایک چیز جو کبھی ہو جاتی ہے بلکہ زیادہ ہو جاتی ہے, جیسے آج کل بہت ایکٹیویٹی ہے, فنکشن شروع ہونے سے 1 گھنٹہ پہلے an announcement is made کہ due to some reasons the venue of this function has been changed to a nearby hotel. There may be scores of reasons for shifting the venue from this point to a hotel or somewhere else, and the function will now start after 1 hour. Well, it is true that in assignments, outdoor assignments, sudden outdoor assignment, I mean, nobody knows them. You are sitting in the in the studio, in your office, inside the radio station, and suddenly you receive a call. I mean, this is how it all starts. It's very common in the life of a production team and the anchor people. You receive a call that you have to rush at a particular point. You need to go over there. Now, in this case, what the point here is, you don't need those security checks. In that very formal way, we have been talking about the VIPs. When the VIP, they appear, the outdoor team needs to have security passes. They need to obtain it from different government departments, particularly like PID is the department which provides these security passes. But in this case, where there has been no plan to do this assignment, all of a sudden you receive a call and you have to rush to the spot where the VIP or any other person is going, and you are supposed to be, you have been asked, go there and cover the function for radio's listeners. You have a little option, but you have to go there. It is here that you do not face the embarrassment of security passes and entering into a security network. You see, those things are very essential when the things are very planned, and particularly when some foreign dignitary is appearing at some place. But in this case, this is the desire of the people. For instance, as we have been talking, if it is a chief minister who is coming to a spot, you would only receive a call from, say, your bosses who have been informed by the relevant department that radio people are required at this spot where chief minister is going. Now you have to prepare. Now you have to face a different sort of embarrassment here, where you are not prepared. In previous case of VIP's coverage, you were informed a day or 2 days before, and you have put all those equipment things in order. The next day, the day when it has to happen, you simply pick your all those gadgets and go there and put all those things over there, and this is how you do the work. But here, you have to collect all those things. Maybe some gadget is not in order, and maybe some gadget you have opened for the purposes of maintenance or repair. I mean, it all goes in a day's life. You are working with a microphone, you are working with a tape recorder, you are checking the leads. In fact, the lead is broken from somewhere and you are just mending it, fixing the problem. And it is here that you receive a call that you have to rush to cover this function. So you see, the OB teams, the outdoor broadcasting teams, they need to be ready all the time because they are left with very little option in such cases. So they have to rush outside. देखिए कैसा मुश्किल मरहला है. वो क्या कहा गालिब ने, मुझे क्या बुरा था मरना अगर एक बार होता. प्रोड्यूसर की लाइफ में ऐसे मरहले हर रोज आते जहां उसको इस सिचुएशन से गुजरना पड़ता. बट आई एम टॉकिंग यू इज द ग्राउंड रियलिटी in the coverage of outdoor broadcast. As I said earlier, it is not just an assignment inside the studio कि ये प्रोग्राम है, ये आप स्क्रिप्ट है, ये आप कर लीजिए, आपने कर दिया, that's fine. Outdoor broadcasting जो कि अब बढ़ती जा रही है. एक जमाना था जब बहुत कम थी, लेकिन now radio stations and the television stations, they are doing more of outdoor broadcast because it generates more interest. It involves more people, and the people demand, your listener and your audience demand, there should be more of an outdoor. आप देखते ही होंगे, सुनते होंगे रेडियो पे, टीवी पे, आउटडोर ब्रॉडकास्टिंग की अकरेंस बढ़ती जा रही है. एंड बिकॉज जैसे हमने कहा कि इसमें एक इंटरेस्ट का एलिमेंट है, और आने वाले दिनों में तो आई होप कि ये थोड़ा सा और ज्यादा होता जाएगा. स्टूडियो के बने हुए प्रोग्राम, कैंड प्रोग्राम, रिकॉर्डेड प्रोग्राम, इट्स ओके, वो भी एक पार्ट है एक ब्रॉडकास्टिंग हाउस की लाइफ का. बट मोर attention is these days paid to the outdoor broadcasting, and that is why we are talking at length on outdoor broadcast. एक तो ये एरिया हो गया जिसमें हमने ये देखा कि जब जरूरी नहीं कि हर दफा ऐसा हो, लेकिन ऐसा हो भी सकता है क्योंकि इसमें बहुत सारे वेरिएबल्स इन्वॉल्व हैं. आपका ट्रैवल करना, आपका वहां पे पहुंचना, پروگرام کا کینسل ہو جانا آل ٹوگیدر. یہ تو وہ سچویشن ہے جہاں یہ کہا گیا کہ 1 گھنٹے کے بعد پھر یہ براڈ کاسٹ ہو سکتا ہے. ایسی بھی سچویشن ہو سکتی ہے کہ آپ نے ہر چیز کو اوور کم کر کے اپنی لیڈز پوری کی, بیٹری بھی لے کر آئے, کوئی چیز بھول گئے اس کو بھی آپ نے بلا لیا, سارا کر لیا, اور پتہ چلے کہ ڈیو ٹو سم ریزن پروگرام ہی کینسل ہو گیا. دس از کوائٹ لائکلی, اٹ ڈز ہیپن, ایسا ہوتا ہے. دوسرا ایریا, یہ تو دیکھیں جو وی آئی پی کوریج کا ایریا یہ ایسا ہے جس میں آپ کو پہلے انفارمیشن مل جاتی ہے. آپ کو کوئی 2 گھنٹے پہلے جو گورنمنٹ کے ڈپارٹمنٹس ہیں انفارمیشن کے, دے ڈو انفارم یو, اور چونکہ سیکورٹی پاسز بننے ہوتے ہیں تو کافی پہلے وہ آپ کو بتا دیتے ہیں. یو آر کوائٹ پریپیئرڈ مینٹلی بھی اور فزیکلی بھی کہ ہم نے جو ہے لیٹ سپوز کہ کل 11 بجے اس جگہ پہ پہنچ کے یہ چیز جو ہے ریکارڈ کرنی ہے یا لائیو بھیجنی ہے, جو بھی آپ کو پتا ہے. جو دوسری کیٹیگری ہے آؤٹ ڈور براڈ کاسٹ کی, وہ ہے کہ یو گیٹ اے کال آل آف اے سڈن. آپ بیٹھے ہوئے ہیں آفس میں اینڈ یو آر ڈوئنگ یور روٹین ورک, جیسے بھی ای این جی ڈپارٹمنٹ اور پروڈکشن ڈپارٹمنٹ جو ہے ان کی ایک روٹین ہے, ایک روٹین لاگ شیٹ بنی ہوئی ہے, اس کے حساب سے آپ کام کر رہے ہیں. اینڈ یو ریسیو اے کال دیٹ لیٹ سپوز چیف منسٹر از rushing at a spot somewhere in Anarkali, and the media people are supposed to be there. He may be talking to the people on some issue. وہاں پہ کچھ ایسی بات ہے, روزمرہ کی زندگی کا معاملہ ہے. اب آپ کے پاس کوئی پلاننگ آلریڈی اس قسم کی ہے نہیں جو آپ نے 2 دن پہلے وی آئی پی کوریج کے لیے کی ہوئی تھی. اب آپ کو ایک آل آف اے سڈن آؤٹ ڈور براڈ کاسٹ کے لیے جانا, کیا ہوگا؟ آپ فوراً ہی فون نیچے رکھیں گے, آپ یو ول اسٹارٹ پریپریشن. آپ کے پاس زیادہ سے زیادہ اس طرح کے کیسز میں ½ an hour ہے. آپ ½ an hour میں پل اپ یور ساکس اینڈ بی دیئر. آپ اپنا سامان نکالیں گے الماریوں سے, مائک, لیڈ, وہی والا سارا سامان, اور پھر آپ یو ول رش ٹو یور او بی وین. او بی وین اس وقت اسٹارٹ ہو نہ ہو, جو بھی ہے, کوئی ایکسکیوز جو ہے وہ آپ کا سنا نہیں جائے گا. آپ سے یہی مطلوب ہے کہ آپ بس وہاں پہنچ جائیں اور آپ ریکارڈنگ کر کے اس کو لے آئیں. یہ اسائنمنٹ ہے, کیسے کرنا ہے اب اس کو, یہ پروڈیوسرز ہیڈ. آپ جانیں حضور آپ کا کام, ہمیں یہ چیز چاہیے, براڈ کاسٹنگ اسٹیشن وڈ سے سو, اور یو ہیو ٹو ایگزیکیوٹ اٹ. سم ہاؤ اس کو مینج کیا جا سکتا ہے. اس میں بھی ہیزرڈس ہیں. اس کے ہیزرڈس کے لیے بھی بعض اوقات تو بڑی فنی سچویشن ہوتی ہے. اس کے ہیزرڈس کو اگر دیکھیں تو ایک بڑی نارمل لائف کا حصہ ہے کہ آپ جب ہیزرڈ میں گھر سے بھی نکلتے ہیں تو اٹ از ویری لائکلی کہ آپ کوئی چیز بھول جائیں. آپ بھول سکتے ہیں, آپ ایک مائکرو فون بھول گئے, باقی کی ساری چیزیں آپ کے پاس ہیں. The staff is there, rest of the equipment is there. Your van has been very efficient this time. لیکن ایک آپ مائک آفس میں بھولا اور آپ کی ریکارڈنگ پاسبل نہیں ہے. Well, I mean the crew is trained. The OB people are trained in this area کہ اگر وہ کبھی اس قسم کی چیز کا شکار ہو جائیں تو اس کو اوور کم انہوں نے کیسے کرنا ہے. بگ سٹیز اٹ از ایزی, آپ فوراً اپنے اسٹیشن سے جا کے لیتے ہیں. بٹ اف یو ہیو گون some far-flung area, if you have moved away from Karachi for instance, آپ سانگڑ جا چکے ہیں تو بڑا مشکل ہے آپ کے لیے کہ اب آپ مائک لینے کے لیے واپس کراچی جائیں گے, کیونکہ چھوٹے شہر میں آپ کو مائکرو فون بھی ویسا نہیں ملے گا. بٹ OB teams are very well trained in this area. ہیزرڈس کا جو ہوتا ہے, ہیزرڈس کو جاننا اس لیے ضروری ہے کہ جو ادروائز ایریاز ہیں اس کے بارے میں تو اٹس ویری بکش کہ یہ چیزیں آپ لے کے چلے جائیں. بٹ the ground reality, to know the ground reality is a very practical subject, you know. Knowing the ground reality is something you need to understand کہ اس میں کس قسم کے hazards ہو سکتے ہیں. یہ تو وہ ایریاز ہیں کہ آپ کو کوریج کے لیے بلا لیا گیا کچھ وی آئی پیز کے اور آپ سڈنلی وہاں پہ چلے گئے, اور بہت سارے ایریاز ہیں. ایک کیٹیگری آؤٹ ڈور براڈ کاسٹ کی جو in the recent years, I would say, it wasn't there some time ago, but in recent years, اس کیٹیگری میں بہت زیادہ ایکٹیویٹی ہونی شروع ہو گئی, اینڈ دس از کلیکٹنگ ریئیکشن آف دا پیپل آن سم بگ ایشو. دیکھیے فار انسٹنس بجٹ اناؤنس ہو گیا. اب بجٹ ایک ایسی چیز ہے وچ از کنسرننگ آلموسٹ ایوری باڈی, ایوری ہاؤس ہولڈ, سرکاری ملازم, کاروباری لوگ, تاجر, ایکسپورٹ امپورٹ انڈسٹری, ایگریکلچر. کوئی ایریا لائف کا ایسا نہیں ہے جس کو بجٹ کی اناؤنسمنٹ سے کچھ کہنا سننا ہو کہ یہ ان کو متاثر کر سکتا ہے. اینڈ اب بجٹ اناؤنس ہو گیا. ہر ریڈیو اسٹیشن کی یہ خواہش ہے کہ لوگوں سے پوچھا جائے کہ حضور اس بجٹ نے آپ کو کیا دیا, آپ خوش ہوئے, آپ ناراض ہوئے. دا فیڈ بیک, دا ریئیکشن. گورنمنٹس کی بھی یہ خواہش ہوتی ہے کہ کچھ ایسا میڈیا جو ہے وہ رول پلے کرے جس میں گورنمنٹ کو بھی فرسٹ ہینڈ یہ پتہ چلے. گورنمنٹس کے اپنے بھی سسٹمز ہوتے ہیں, مگر سم ٹائم گورنمنٹ فیلز کے اپنے سسٹم کے علاوہ اگر انہیں میڈیا کے تھرو بھی یہ پتہ چل جائے کہ کیسے لوگوں کا ریئیکشن کیسا ہے, مختلف لوگوں کا ریئیکشن کیسا ہے. مختلف آرگنائزیشنز ہیں, بزنس آرگنائزیشنز ہیں, مختلف این جی اوز ہیں, اور ان لوگوں نے بجٹ کو کس طرح سے دیکھا, آل دا مور پولیٹیکل لوگوں نے کیسا دیکھا. بہت سینسٹیو ایریاز ہوتے ہیں بعض. اب جو ریڈیو اسٹیشنز ہیں, براڈ کاسٹنگ ہاؤسز ہیں, ان کے اوپر آج کل یہ ایک نئی اسائنمنٹ آپ سمجھ لیں, ایک نئی ڈائمینشن آ گئی ہے آؤٹ ڈور براڈ کاسٹنگ میں کہ a number of broadcasting teams with a very little equipment. اس دفعہ وہ بھی وین وغیرہ کی کچھ اتنی پرابلم نہیں ہے. آپ نے کندھے پہ ڈالا اپنا ریکارڈنگ سسٹم, مائک ہاتھ میں پکڑا, اینڈ یو موو ان دا اسٹریٹس آف دا ٹاؤن, اور جی بتائیے آپ کو کیسا لگا یہ بجٹ. اس طرح کا ریئیکشن پہلے آپ مارک کر لیتے ہیں مختلف ٹیمز تاکہ اوور لیپ نہیں ہو. اس کو آرگنائز کر لیا جاتا ہے کہ آپ ٹیم اے فار انسٹنس would record reaction of the business people, Chamber of Commerce, textile millers, the sugar millers, the cement industry people, and the markets, city markets, how they have received the budget. And the team B, for that matter, will go to collect the reaction of household, the women, the women organizations, things like this. And the team C will go and just ram into the city streets and will ask any person coming across کہ ان کا کیا ہے, so that you get a public impression about the budget from all across, all segments of society, so that you can get some mean position, some average reaction, how this budget has been welcomed, or people have some reservation about these budgets. OBT, they have to be ready. The advantage in this area is that they know already that the budget is going to be announced on, say, 14th of June or 13th of June, and they should be ready to collect public reaction on the following day or day after. So they easily make arrangements, and teams are there already to go out and collect reactions. It's not on the budget. You can collect reaction on so many other things. For instance, there may be a political issue. There may be a conflict. For instance, there is a development on Kashmir issue. The dialogue process has taken some shape between India and Pakistan and the Kashmiri leaders. And there is some new scene which has emerged. And you want how the people of different areas, they have accepted this new scenario, and what they think about the new scenario or the the change in the standing position of the different governments and all the stakeholders. So what would you do? You will go to the people again, and you would decide first what type of people you would be going. You may be going to political people more in this case, but you feel like going to everybody possible, like different organizations which have their say about, which you keep on reading in the newspapers, who always say something about the issue of Kashmir, and they say that they have more to say as a representative of people on this issue. And in this case, since it involves two countries, you may feel like, and if you have resources, you may go across the border. As a Pakistani broadcasting house, you can go to India and collect what they people say, and likewise, some Indian broadcasting house may come to Pakistan and talk different people to collect their reaction for their listeners, and obviously as a reaction of on the new emerging scene to the governments and all the people who matter in making policies. So you see, it helps the societies, the governments, and the people itself. More a media is involving in these healthy activities, more is a society getting benefited from the activity of media. And the electronic media these days, you all understand, students, has to play a very, very vital role, because it is heard more, it is viewed more as compared to the print media. So in fact, the responsibility of the broadcaster and the directors, and I think as a whole the broadcasting house, is many times more than the other areas of communication, as I would say, the print media vis-a-vis. So this is a role electronic media plays, but this is what we are studying is outdoor broadcasting. It only comes from outdoor broadcasting. If you are sitting inside the broadcasting house and waiting that the people would come and register or record their feelings, it would happen, but very scant. How many people can approach the broadcasting house to record their feelings about anything happening around? Very few, very, very few, as compared to when OB teams go out and collect information from different people. Well, I think, students, you have got the idea what this outdoor broadcasting means when it comes to gathering reaction on different issues. It's a very important area. We will continue talking about outdoor broadcasting. There is a huge area. There are so many areas which need to be understood. We will continue in the next lecture. But here, one more point. And this is the emergence of a program we call, and you all understand, road shows. These days, there is a mushrooming of programs of like road shows. What is road shows? Well, this is, you make a feature program. It is a regular program. It appears on a particular day at a particular time. But it is recorded outside, on the road. It's not all the time that easy to go out and record impressions of people about very simple things as the people do. Sometimes people are not willing to talk to the outdoor teams who are there for conducting these road shows, because people, when you put a series of questions on people, students, sometimes people get this idea that perhaps they are being probed. You are doing a sort of investigations, though it is not the purpose for these teams who are holding these road shows, and you explain to the people. But sometimes people are not inclined to give answers. But in urban areas, situation may be a little different. People may be friendly, and they may agree after some time to reply, whatever you are asking for, your very interesting road shows. But away from urban areas, if you go to the countryside, you would find The people really they shy away from the sight of camera, or if there is a microphone, if you have a rod like this, a microphone, they would show shyness. They would not reply your questions, and if they at all reply your questions, they would not be taking your questions seriously, and they would think that something funny, some joke is perhaps going on, and some people from Radio Pakistan or a television station are there to make fun of all those things. And for this unfounded fear, they would perhaps run away from the site, and it makes things difficult for the people who are there to produce these road shows. Nonetheless, road shows have proved quite success in the series of radio programs, because I would say very encouraging teams from radio stations. They have braved all these situations, and they have done it, and they have made it a feature program. Like, I mean, it appears after every week or so. Some of the road shows have been very interesting. For instance, they may go out and ask people how you go about shopping. You see, shopping is an area of tens of thousands of people involved. Every day you have to shop something. Sometimes you shop specially, sometimes you have to have a very routine shopping. Shopping is an area of perhaps everybody is involved in too. Well, let's suppose the producer has picked the topic shopping this week. Now you will go out and you will talk people. How do they shop? Is it a selection of shops? They have a selected stores where they will go and shop, or they go for the articles. For instance, they have to buy pulses, meat, butter, bread اور روٹی اور کھانے کی چیزیں اور اس قسم کی چیزوں کے لیے ان کو باہر جا کے شاپنگ کرنی ہے. اینڈ یو آر ناٹ اسپیسیفک وائی یو آر گوئنگ ٹو اے سرٹن شاپ اور a particular place. You see, it's a funny time. It's a fun time to ask questions like this and involving people into broadcast. This is the one purpose of the broadcasting house, to involve as many people as is possible, to keep their interest with the radio or with the television and the road shows. Is doing a remarkable thing to me, because they are bringing the broadcasting activities close to the people rather than asking people to go to the broadcasting houses. They are in fact enabling people to have their voice heard by others. And as I said, it is more fun because at times, لیکن ایک چیز کی بہت ضرورت ہے اس میں جو آپ روڈ شوز کر رہے ہیں, the anchor person. The anchor person should be very polite. آپ نے ڈفرینٹ لوگوں سے سوال پوچھنے who are not used to talking into a microphone or in front of a camera. آپ نے ان لوگوں سے بات کرنی ہے. So some may be shy and some may be saying something which in fact annoys you. You have to be tolerant and you have to be very, very polite. ایک فنی سچویشن کی بات ہو رہی ہے اسٹوڈینٹس, ذہن میں رکھیں کہ ایک بہت فنی سچویشن پیدا ہو سکتی ہے, embarrassing at same time and may be very, very funny. آپ نے آدھا گھنٹہ لگا کے ریکارڈنگ کر لی ساری, اور اتنی اچھی باتیں ہوئیں اس میں, کسی نے جوک بھی سنا دیا, کسی نے کوئی شعر بھی سنا دیا, کسی نے سیریسلی بتایا کہ جی میں کیسے شاپنگ کرتا ہوں, سارا کچھ کرتا ہوں. آپ بہت خوش ہیں ایز اے ریکارڈسٹ کہ آپ نے بہت اچھا پروگرام پروڈیوس کر لیا, بڑی جان ہے پروگرام میں. آپ نے سارا پروگرام ریکارڈ کر کے جب بند کرنے لگے تو آپ کو یہ پتا چلا کہ مائک کی لیڈ ریکارڈنگ میں تو لگی ہی نہیں ہوئی تھی. دیکھیے اب ہم بات کریں گے اسٹوڈینٹس کچھ ٹرمینالوجی کی. جیسا کہ ہمارا ایک فارمیٹ ہے کہ ہم لوگ اینڈ پہ جا کے کچھ ٹرمز کے بارے میں بات کرتے ہیں. ٹرمز کو سیکھنا بہت ہی ضروری ہے. ویل آئی بلیو آپ جو پچھلی ٹرمز ہم لوگوں نے بات کیا تھا یہاں پہ وہ آپ کو یاد ہوں گی. ان کو یاد رکھنا اس لیے ضروری ہے کہ ایٹ دا ٹائم آف ایگزامینیشن always terms are referred to And it is the terminology, you see, at the end of the day, which helps you communicate things, and you can make other people understand a different subject with the help of terminology. You remember last time what the term it was, which we were talking about? And if you can recall, we continue from there. And this time, the term is clean it up. It is a term which is used at the time of rehearsals. You are in rehearsals. You see, when you come to rehearsals, nobody knows what it is. The producer has to make other people believe what it is. The anchor persons and the rest of the characters, they do not know what it is. When they go to the script, only then they understand what it is. They have some idea what it is. And then they start making rehearsals. And gradually, they come to the point where actually director want the whole people to be seeing so in this atmosphere, in this mode, in this way. When some practice takes place and the director feels that now is the time that we should go for the final rehearsals. So the term is used, clean it up, which means now go to last rehearsals. Last rehearsals means now you are supposed to be doing it as if it is a final way. This is how you go about this clean it up term. And the next, creeper. Well, creeper is a common word which means you are just creeping, right? But in the terminology of broadcasting, creeper means if there are 2 or 3 people standing in front of a mic. Now I'm talking about the broadcasting. It's more about a radio station rather than a TV recording. There's a radio station. You see the mic is hanging like this, and I have a distance of say 2 feet here, and the person is standing by me. Is like this. You see, as you go about the script, as you read down the script, you sometimes lost in the script so much that you forget that your distance with the mic is reducing. You are creeping in. So if you are doing more creeping, the director would be telling you, don't creep as you go through the text or go through the script. Don't creep. So you need not to be a creeper. You should understand that creeping is not a good attitude. All right. And next in line is crosstalk. What is crosstalk? You might have encountered many times on telephone particularly. You are talking to someone and you find that some other person is talking in between. And that is, you call, some crosstalk is going on. You never like it because it interferes. But on radio area, in the area of broadcast, crosstalk means you are hearing something on the radio which is a mix of more than one stations. You intend to hear it from one station, but some other station is somehow, you see, we had at one point talked about radio frequencies because of some technical reasons. Another station is interfering into what you are intending to listen from one station. This is referred to as crosstalk, that I'm having a crosstalk. So I'm not able to understand what this station I am intending to listen from, what it is saying. For instance, if it is a newsreel, it means more. You are there very seriously. You are there to listen some news, and if there is a crosstalk, it's very hard for you to understand what the news item has been. And you see, on radio, they do not repeat news items. So once you have lost the substance because of the crosstalk, you are left with very little choice. You have to live with it. This is called crosstalk. And the last for the day is cue bite. Well, again, cue. You see, cue means a signal which has been set by the director for the people who are there to record something. There are 2, 3 people. and everybody has got this cue sheet in his hand or her hand. You see, now the situation is that Nadia is telling a joke, and Aslam is supposed to be laughing at the end of the joke. This is written on the uh, cue sheet and the script. What happens? Uh, Nadia is telling a joke and she is not finished yet. She has to say the last word of the punchline, and Aslam laughs, assuming that it's his turn to be doing his action. Well, this is called cue bite, means you are biting the cue. Don't do that. Don't bite the cue. You should follow the cue the way it has been put in the script. Students, this much for this session. We will be seeing each other in the next session. We will continue talking about the outdoor broadcast with new topics and new way of doing it. Till then, it's the office.